Hello everyone, I'm Talisa with Talisa Aquarius. Thank you for joining me here today. Today I want to discuss plans that I have made for my future regarding my aquariums. I will be selling a lot of my aquariums. I've actually already sold 5 of my aquariums and I still have like 7 for sale, I believe. I think it's 7. So I'm downsizing drastically. However, you're probably like, wait, you only had 13 tanks and you're selling 12, you're gonna have 1? No, I have other aquariums that are not set up, and so I'll be selling most of my aquariums that are set up and just kind of switching things around and then setting up the aquariums that are currently empty. I just started thinking I was getting pretty stressed out. As some of you guys know, me and my husband are planning to move. Lord willing, our place is up for sale. And once our place sells, we are planning to move into a rental. And we don't have a rental yet. We're kind of waiting for someone to make an offer on the place. So we're kind of just, waiting, right? I'm in a waiting phase. I'm having a hard time being patient. So in the meantime, I'm overthinking everything regarding my aquariums. And it was kind of stressing me out thinking about moving 13 aquariums. Not to mention finding a landlord that would be okay with 13 aquariums is a bit of a stretch. And I was planning on having like a 60-gallon or 75-gallon goldfish tank. My baby goldfish are currently in a 30-gallon little grow out pond thing, and I was just thinking the chances of us finding a landlord that's okay with that is kind of slim. Not to mention, do I really enjoy the fish enough to put in the extra effort of moving that tank, right? Renting is short term. We will be moving from the rental to another place, and do I really want to be moving all those tanks? I started realizing that less is more, especially when it comes to fish tanks. And for this stage of my life also, some of you guys are setting up fish rooms and you have 20, 30, 50 fish tanks, and that's great for the stage of life you're in, right? But for me, in the stage of life that I am in, I started realizing that smaller tanks and less tanks is going to be ideal for me. I'm in this hobby because it's relaxing, it's peaceful, it's an outlet for creativity, and it's just fun. And, that was kind of starting to diminish for me. I was getting burnt out. I had 13 aquariums that, and they're low maintenance aquariums, right? But I have 13, and all the different things that was going on with them, and just me stressing out about moving all those tanks, I started to think, this isn't what I'm doing the hobby for, and I'm not going to keep all of these tanks just so I can have more stuff to talk about on YouTube, right? I'm just going to, what is a good amount of tanks for me to have that I will enjoy keeping? And so I started thinking about it, and I came to the conclusion anywhere from 4 to 6 fish tanks would be great for me. That's not too many tanks to move, and I will keep them at a smaller size. So my largest tank will be 29 gallons. I actually have an empty 29 gallon already on a stand out in my living room. I'm planning to move it in here in the fish room, and that will be for my axolotl. She's right back here behind me. For Squishy, I was planning to put her in a 40-gallon tank, and I actually had bought a 40-gallon tank for her and everything, and the stand, and I started thinking about it. I'm 29 gallons is big enough for her to be comfortable. The length of the tank is 3 times, it's actually more than 3 times longer than she is. So a good rule of thumb for a fish is you want the tank to be at least 3 times longer than the fish, so the fish can have enough space for swimming from side to side. And a 29-gallon, I think she's probably about 8 inches long if I had to guess. So a 29-gallon tank would be wide enough for her. She's in a 20-gallon long, which is actually the same exact length. But the 29 just gives more water volume. She does produce a lot of waste. And I wanted to just have a taller tank so that I could have taller plants, like some big tall Anubias, some tall sword plants, you know, just for aesthetic purposes, honestly. So I'm going to have my axolotl in the 29-gallon tank. And then this 20-gallon long on the stand back here, I am planning to set that up as a heavily planted betta fish tank. I already have a piece of driftwood for it, and I'm thinking that I will put Kai, my plakat male betta fish that is currently in my 40-gallon over here. He's been breeding with a female. They're in there together. I was thinking I would just move him to the 20-gallon and not have the female in there with him. And then I think I already have a stand on the way for a 10-gallon tank. I think I will set up a 10-gallon fish tank for a betta fish, maybe with heavier fins or with shorter fins. You know, 10 gallons work great for betta fish with shorter fins as well. And then on the stand, there's a shelf, on the 10-gallon stand, there's a shelf below that. And I think it should fit a 5.5-gallon tank well. And I figured I could put a 5.5-gallon shrimp tank underneath the 10-gallon tank. And then I have my small 3-gallon shrimp tank that I call my happy tank, and I do like zero maintenance on that tank. I rarely ever, like, I just trimmed some guppy grass back after it had been set up for months, and I added some water to it. Like, I top it off every month or 2 months, so basically no maintenance at all. There's just some shrimp and snails in there, so I'll keep that as well. So what would that be? That would be 5 tanks. That would bring me up to 5 tanks. And I don't plan on having any more than that. I am thinking about setting up a saltwater tank after we move. My fish store actually has a really good deal on saltwater aquariums that come with the stand. Like, you can't get them cheaper anywhere else. I think for like a 24-gallon tank on a nice stand was like $400 or something. And that comes with, it's like a kit. I think it comes with a filter, like the built-in filter in the back of the tank, and possibly a light. I don't remember if there's a heater as well. So a super good deal, and I've been wanting to get into saltwater, but I'm not up for that challenge right now. Maybe once we move and are settled in, that may be something I do, but I may wait a few years. So for now, I think I'll just have the 5 tanks, the 5 smaller tanks. And, you know, if I set up the saltwater tank, it would be below 30 gallons as well. So they would all be smaller fish tanks that are easier to move. And then, you know, once we get to a stage in our life where we can have a little larger house and just kind of settle down for a bit, I should be able to get some larger tanks. But I think for this stage of my life, it's going to work well to just have a few aquariums. Hopefully most of them be in my living room where I can view them a lot. Maybe have my little shrimp tank in my bedroom or something like that, but probably not have a fish room, and just a few small tanks. So I've already sold, I told you guys I've already sold 5 tanks, and I have sold my 2 3-gallon fish bowls that had shrimp in them. I already announced that on a different video. And then I also sold my 6.5-gallon cube tank with my betta fish Monet in it, and my 10-gallon tank with my purple endler breeding project. I was a little sad to see Monet go and to see my purple endlers go. They were beautiful fish, but they went to a good home. And I also sold my 5.5-gallon tank that I had set up as a shrimp tank, but my betta fish Skipper was in it. I don't know if you guys remember Skipper. He was a blue veiltail. And I sold all of those to the same person. He is a local hobbyist. He's seen my ads on Craigslist, and he came and bought 5 tanks from me. So I have 7 left. I have my goldfish pond that I'm going to be selling, sadly. As much as I would love to keep the goldfish and grow them out, like I said, for this stage of my life, it's just really not practical to have a large goldfish tank that I'm moving from place to place. Not to mention, I think it would be harder to find a rental with a tank that size. So, you know, maybe in a few years I'll be able to get goldfish again. But in the meantime, I can have betta fish and axolotls for pets, so that'll be fun. And I also have the rack. I'm looking at the rack behind, or in front of me, behind you guys, behind the camera anyway. there is a rack that I have for sale that has my 2.5 gallon fish tank on it with marble in it. He is my deformed beta that has a swimming disability. And then the 220 gallons, so the bottom tank is my Purple Haze guppy tank, and I have that for sale. And then the 20 gallon with a couple of male antlers and Rainy, my female beta fish. And then this tank over here that you guys can kind of see in the corner of the camera, it is my 40 gallon tank. And it was my first tank that I actually like put a lot of effort into scaping and put some extra money into scaping. And I'm gonna be sad to see it go. It's a special tank, and I have like a male and female beta in there that are actually breeding and raising fry together, and it's just like a fun project. But I had to like ask myself, like, am I going to get a lot of enjoyment out of the tank, or is it going to just bring more stress? And while I do enjoy it a lot right now, I know that moving it is going to be more difficult, and I'm going to be stressed about the beta fish becoming too stressed and turning on each other and becoming aggressive with each other when we move. I've never kept a male and female beta fish together before, so I'm not sure what to expect when we move them. So I decided it'd be best to just pull Kai out of there once I get this 20 gallon tank set up for him. First I would have to set up my axolotl tank, and then set this tank up for a beta fish and put Kai in there because he's just gorgeous. I don't want to sell him. I did say that whoever bought this 40 gallon tank, if they really wanted that breeding project, I could sell him with the tank for like an extra $75. But, you know, I'm not going to part with him unless it makes sense to me. And so I was like, you know, $75, I'd be happy to part with him for that much money. So, and then I have two 5.5 gallon tanks below the 40 gallon that are also for sale. So I just listed off, let's see, 2.5 gallon, two 20 gallons, the 40 gallon, two 5.5s, and the goldfish tank. So yeah, 7 aquariums that are for sale. I have them listed on Craigslist and Facebook. And I'm praying that they all sell this week. Today is Tuesday, and as I'm filming this, and I'm really hoping that I can find them good homes this week. I don't have a price on them. I've just told people to make me an offer. And I would love it if I could get them all sold so that I can kind of move the 5 aquariums that I am planning to keep. I can kind of move them around to where I actually want them to be. Where I'm wanting them to be is where my current fish tanks that are for sale are. So I'm kind of like, do I wait for them to sell and then set up the tanks? Or do I, because I really want to get my axolotl into a different tank. Like, she's producing enough waste that not having sand in the bottom of the aquarium is not good. And I don't want to just always be doing water changes on her tank. And so I really want to get her into an aquarium with some nice thick sand with more plants, so that the plants in the sand can just be helping filter her tank and keeping it a little cleaner and nicer looking for me. So I'm trying to decide if I should just set up her 29 gallon tank this week, regardless of whether this sells or not, because I kind of wanted it to be over here on this wall. And it's kind of the closest to my AC unit, and it will help the tank stay cooler during the summer. So that was kind of my thinking behind that. And then this 20 gallon tank, I would like to move over here, like behind the camera where my shelving unit is at. But they're small enough tanks that I could set them up where they're at now, and then, you know, once the tanks sell, I could just drain out some of the water and move them. They're not going to be too heavy to move. So I'm trying to decide, like, I don't know. I'll probably give it a few days and decide if I should set up my axolotl tank this week or not. I have another fun project that I'll be setting up, the 5.5 gallon shrimp tank that I mentioned. Higer is wanting to sponsor that video, and they're sending me a light. So once I receive the light for that shrimp tank in the mail, then I will begin that project as well. So keep an eye out for my future projects. I'll be setting up an axolotl tank, a shrimp tank, and you know, I could wait until we move to set these up. But because I'm not sure when we're moving, like, it could be as late as like this fall, right? And it's May right now. And so, like, I really don't want to wait that long. I would kind of like to just get my tanks consolidated down to 5 and just have the 5 fish tanks. That way if we do need to move quickly, it'll be okay. It should be easier to get the tanks moved and to find a rental that allows 5 smaller tanks, right? So that was kind of my thinking behind that. For this stage of my life, that is what will make me still enjoy the hobby. I'll still be able to enjoy it and be at peace with my decision. You know, I don't want this hobby to become like a full-time job that is no longer enjoyable to me. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys can understand why I made this decision. I'll still be posting videos on a regular basis. I'll still be enjoying the hobby. In fact, I'll probably be enjoying it more. I've come to discover that when I have less fish tanks, I actually enjoy the hobby more. Same goes for like dogs. You know, the less dogs I have, the more I enjoy the dogs that I do have. I love fish tanks, I love dogs, and horses. You know, the less horses I have, the more I enjoy the horses, right? You know, too much of a good thing is still just too much, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and thank you.